All right, so it is 3:04, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Really grateful for everybody that's coming back or people that are here for the very first time. The five of us are really excited to be able to come together and support each other during all these crazy times. And I feel like we are really trying to foster a sense of community and collectiveness. So I'm really grateful for everybody for joining today. So the intention behind this webinar was essentially the four of us, myself, Vicki, Shannon, and TJ, we're having a conversation a couple of weeks ago and recognized that there are a lot of people with varying experiences during the shelter in place. And so we saw a need to offer a forum as emotional support, not just for people in recovery, but people that are struggling emotionally just in general, because we were getting a lot of calls and texts from kind of both sides of the fence. So that's why we're coming together. And we are going to do some intros. So each of us will introduce ourselves, and then TJ is going to offer a meditation, brief meditation, and then we'll get right into the keynote with Gina. So let me do this. Shannon, do you want to go ahead and start with your intro?
Sure, absolutely. I'm Shannon Clay, and I work with Discovery Behavioral Health. We offer treatment for adults and adolescents, substance use disorders, mental health disorders, and eating disorders. We have programs in various states, but this time in my life, we are actually offering programs in California, which I'm excited to say. And mainly these guys here on this panel are my good colleagues, good friends that I've worked with for a long time. And my part in this really is offering resources after being a member of the addiction treatment and mental health disorder communities for 34 years. So I'm just wanting to share whatever resources we can, and I'm really grateful that everybody's coming on and collaborating, and excited that we have something that we can offer and to support each other and support you guys out there, and clients, families, neighbors, whoever that is. So welcome to the webinar, and that's it.
Awesome. Thanks, Shannon. All right, Vicki, you're up with your intro.
Hi, I'm Vicki Lucas, and I'm an interventionist. I own Equanimity Interventions. I have about 15 staff members that work with me that do sober companion and sober transport, safe transport. I do interventions for adults and adolescents, substance abuse, behavioral health, and eating disorders. I take them all on, really. I do a lot of sliding scale, because I believe that everybody deserves an intervention, every family. And when they're at the most vulnerable point, I don't like to turn them away. So I'm glad we're doing this webinar. It's something we've been talking about, doing something where we can open up to the community for a long time. And with this situation that we're in right now, this seemed like the perfect time to do it, and to just offer something to colleagues and the community to help us get through this time, and then anytime, really, anything that's going on. So I hope everybody continues to join us, because we have some amazing people set up. And back to you, Jeremy.
Awesome, Vic. All right, TJ, ready for your intro?
Ready. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, Shannon. Thank you, Vicki. So grateful to be connected with you again, Gina. I haven't seen you in person, I think, for a year, so it's a virtual hug to you, and I'm really incredibly grateful that you're going to be presenting the keynote. If I don't know you, my name is TJ Woodward. I am the creator and CEO of Conscious Recovery. Conscious Recovery is a modality of treatment. It's a full system of care that can be integrated into any treatment program. Simply said, Conscious Recovery asks the questions, what will happen and what does happen when we view our clients through the lens of wholeness rather than brokenness. And Conscious Recovery, again, is a full system of care. It's a book, a workbook, it's curriculum for treatment. It's now an online group once a week, providing resources for clients to access their inner resources. And I have the honor at this moment to lead us in a meditation as we prepare for Gina's presentation. So I invite you to find a comfortable place if you're standing, if you're sitting, and if it feels right for you in this moment, gently close your eyes. And we begin by taking a nice deep conscious breath together. And on the exhale, simply allowing ourselves to become fully present, giving ourselves permission to bring our full attention and intention to the here and now. Giving ourselves permission to bring our full self to this moment. Noticing the breath again, consciously choosing to slow your breath down, and simply noticing the effect that has on you as you take deeper inhales and slower exhales. So as we gather here together virtually today, we know that we have come here to share in this field of infinite possibilities, starting with gratitude, gratitude for this connection, for this technology, for our ability to connect with each other, even if we can't be with each other in person. So for just a moment, imagining you connecting with everyone who is on this webinar right in this moment. Imagine yourself giving a virtual hug. You might even want to hug yourself in this moment. Getting in touch with what that physical touch feels like for you. And so we set the intention for our time together to be open and receptive, knowing that we listen from that place of open-heartedness and presence. And we know that every word that Gina speaks is spoken from that essential truth of who and what she is. So we simply open up now to the infinite possibilities of our time together. And with that, we simply take 30 seconds together in the silence. And then slowly beginning to bring our awareness back into this time and space. And as it feels right for you, I invite you to gently open your eyes.
All right, excellent. Thank you so much, TJ, for that meditation. And before we get to Gina, I just want to go over some general housekeeping items. So we highly encourage you guys to utilize the Q&A function. That was a big part of our intention with doing this webinar, was to create more of a conversation. So you'll see on the toolbar in Zoom, there's a Q&A button. So you guys can pile the questions in while Gina's talking, and then after her presentation, we will get to the questions. It can be for Gina or any of the panelists, or it could be for all of us. So make sure you utilize the Q&A section. Also, we will pin our contact information in the chat and also send it to you in an email after the webinar. So if you need to get a hold of us, you can find our information there. And let's see, what else? Oh, if you can't hang around for the whole time, that's totally okay. We know that people are busy, and this is a very big time of adjustment. So if you can't make it the whole time, don't worry about it. And also with the Q&A, if you notice us getting closer and closer to 4 o'clock and we still have questions, it's totally okay. We're gonna go as long as you guys want. So if it's like 3:55 and your question hasn't been answered yet, no stress, no anxiety, don't worry, we'll get to your question. That being said, I realized I forgot to introduce myself. So my name is Jeremy Miller, and I work with TJ at Conscious Recovery, and I also represent a small outpatient in Los Gatos, California called Embodied Recovery. So that's me. And then to introduce Gina, who I am so excited to have here with us today. Gina is the clinical supervisor and owner of Harmony Heals. the secondary clinical supervisor at New Directions for Women, the host of the online series Ask Gina, and the co-host of the Recovery Radio Show on KOCI. And she is a phenomenal presenter, so we're all very, very excited. And with that, Gina, the spotlight is yours.
Thank you, Jeremy. Oh my God, this is amazing. I thank you all so much for showing up and being here with us on this platform. I'm so grateful to TJ, Vicki, Shannon, and Jeremy for creating a beautiful space to invite not only clinicians, lay people, people in our industry, people that are needing a voice to be heard and to be seen right now. And in this time to just have an opportunity to gather and connect with each other with the intention of serving. So one of the ways that I've always shown up in my life and in my own personal recovery story is to be of service to others. And this is just one more platform to do that. So I'm really happy and honored to have that opportunity. And I have been in the field for 34 beautiful, amazing, awesome years. I can't believe it, but I'm really glad that I'm still here and that I'm still passionate about healing. And so my backstory is I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I've been trained in every kind of modality with a specialty in the areas of trauma, addiction, and codependency, which is my personal recovery is around my codependency, because I love me some addicts and I love me some relationships. So I tend to really gravitate towards people. And so in my early youth, I did it in a sick way, in a way to seek validation and to be seen and to know that I mattered and that I had some kind of purpose. And so as I've gravitated through that and worked on myself and worked on my own healing, trauma was always at the center of my knowing and my understanding of really what didn't work and what kind of went wrong in my own life, but in the life of many, many of my patients. And I understand from the lens, just as TJ had mentioned earlier, about seeing people not as broken, but as potential, as the possibility of. And so what I know with the story of trauma and working on oneself is that trauma isn't just what you see and what you experience, physical, sexual, emotional, the very obvious, or what therapists like to call the big T trauma. I think there's a wealth and a world of trauma that lives in the covert, which is the hidden and subtle ways that we connect with other human beings, the way that we speak to each other, and the way that we acknowledge or disavow each other. And what I mean by that is, for some people, trauma is just, for me, how I define it, which is your basic needs going unmet. And so not being seen, not being heard, not being validated, not being cherished, not being honored, not being held, not being told that you're precious, beautiful, amazing, that you're worthy, that you deserve, that you have purpose, that you have meaning and symbolism, that your breath is the only breath that matters in the universe, because it's you and uniquely who you are, no one else can be in the entire planet. And so it goes beyond just this violent thing happened, this moment, or these many moments that have piled on top of each other have become trauma. So as you're sitting at home now in this pandemic and being quarantined or sheltered, or if you're a first responder or an essential worker, whatever your story is, you might notice a heightened sense of feeling anxious and traumatized by this experience. And some of you may be doing a personal inventory going, I don't understand why I'm feeling this way. I'm not a trauma survivor. I wasn't ever, abused or beaten or held captive in some horrific scenario or assaulted. I want you to understand that trauma is that when our basic needs go unmet, our emotional, spiritual, and physical needs go unmet. And so therefore, being alone and being isolated becomes a trigger. It becomes an experience of trauma, even if you've never experienced it before. And if you have in your history, it's now activated. And what we need to know about this is that trauma should never define you. As you understand and as you come to believe and as you come to talk about these traumatic experiences, it's important that you know that you are greater than this moment. this moment that's occurring in the entire world, and we're all in it together. You are greater than this, and you can grow and heal beyond this. What happens with trauma and trauma survivors is they start to define themselves as the trauma. And then the trauma becomes their identity. They start to say, I am a trauma survivor. I am a victim. And I'm not telling you how to say or not say when you identify and you're in support groups, whatever you need to do for you to validate your experience in that and your feelings and healings. But I want you to know is that you're bigger than that. And when you own that that's who I am, it becomes a repetitive pattern throughout your life. When you say, I am trauma, I am a trauma survivor, I have PTSD, this is what I do, this is what I am, then it sets a pattern of intention and action in your life where you keep replicating the theme of trauma, and you find yourself in traumatic relationships or working for a boss that belittles you in some way or disregards you or doesn't hold value for what you bring and offer to the table. It could be as simple as that. If you're finding yourselves in patterns of repetition around this, I am a victim one more time, then this is a time to take inventory. Sit down and reflect and say, how often do I walk in the world with the label of victim? Am I being victimized right now? Some of you could be sequestered at home with a perpetrator. And I want to speak to that because right now at home, what we have is an increased use of substances to cope. So we have an increase of alcohol and drug addiction happening right now in homes of people where maybe there was some distance. Maybe you were functioning with your functioning addict because you got to leave and go to work and not deal with them till they rolled in at midnight and fell on the sofa and passed out. And now that same unconscious body is there in your face and in your presence on a daily basis, and you're having a lot of feelings about that as the partner. Well, the addict is having a lot of feelings about it too, because they're lost in isolation and in the tunnel of humiliation and shame. They're drowning in their own addiction, and you're witnessing a slow death. So emotionally, you're right in each other's spaces. And how do you survive and how do you thrive in an element of being in the problem versus being in the solution? Part of it is to start to acknowledge your worth, who you are, your purpose for breathing and being here on this planet. Is your purpose to dive into the process of that suffering addict or alcoholic? Is your purpose to lean in and try to save them while you yourself feel completely emotionally depleted and are drowning in your own pain and sorrow and loss? Is it for you to take that hit? If someone has domestic violence and they're becoming physically and emotionally, they're escalating because they feel trapped. And someone who's angry and acts out of anger and who becomes violent, when you trap that person, you're activating, you're putting fire and fueling that anger and that rage, and they're going to take it out on the one and only target they can find, and it's whoever's in that home with them. So part of the story now is to say, this is not who I am. I am not a victim. I don't live in doubt. I don't live in regret. I don't want to minimize myself and make myself small so that you can feel big and you can feel empowered. Whoever that partner is for you and whoever I'm speaking to right now is to say to yourself this: I no longer identify as a victim, and this is not the story that I want to continue to write. I want to write a new story. And in writing that new story, you say, just for today, I can breathe and I can remove myself, even if it means going to your backyard or to your front door, even if it means enlisting someone on the phone or on Zoom to say, I am at home, I am sequestered with someone who is truly acting out of pure insanity and is not safe for me. This is an opportunity for those of you in a violent situation to say, what would leaving look like? The leaving that I've never even allowed myself to imagine, that I've never given myself permission to do. If I today, under these circumstances, know and believe, oh my God, I'm going to be stuck in this situation for another month, or another 6 weeks or 8 weeks, or whatever the president deems is going to happen before I can get out. Can I live like this one more day? what would an exit plan look like? Simply, what would removing myself from this situation look like? And what opportunity can I create? Is this the time to take the invitation from my brother, sister, my best friend, my sponsor, my grandma, whomever has offered in the past to shelter me? Is it time? Is it time for me to do that and reach beyond the limitation that I have placed on myself by staying in this uncertain and this traumatic and painful situation? The longer you stay, the greater the damage, the greater the pain, the greater the suffering, and you're just prolonging the inevitable. None of us is meant to live in pain and suffering. It is a part of our story, like the waves that roll onto shore. They roll and then they recede for a reason. They're not meant to consistently over and over and over again come crashing down like a typhoon. That is not what life is meant to be. That's not what your purpose is meant to be. That's not what your soul, your higher power, and you are seeking. Your greater self, your self-actualized being, whatever you want to name that thing that is beyond what you can see in this moment, living in the trauma, that's who you're pulling upon. That's what you're calling for. That's the resource that is calling you home. And you tap into that simply with breath, by starting with breath, just like TJ did with us at the beginning of this live. If I can start and simply breathe and exist for a moment in my own body, everything I need to know is right here. Everything I need to know about myself, where I'm headed and what I want is right here. But if I don't tune in, and if I put my hands over and my eyes and my ears, and I don't listen and I don't see what's in front of me, and I keep accepting less than what I deserve, then less is what I will always have. No one deserves to keep capitulating and repeating their trauma. No one deserves to live in their past. Your past is behind you. It's not in front of you. It's in your rear view mirror, and it's been there for a long time. And every time you drag yourself back into your history, you're losing the part of yourself that is dying to grow, that is dying to heal, that is dying to become everything that you possibly can be. So be it relationship, be it addiction, be it familial strife, be it a job that's just been bleeding you dry or pulling your emotional and mental health to its brink, whatever it is for you that now, be it COVID-19, that is your trauma sitting with you right now, say, I have everything in me to rise above this on a spiritual and emotional level. I am not meant to stay where I'm at. It is okay for me to move forward and beyond this moment. What would leaving look like, and what would thriving look like? If you search deeply within your soul, your spirit, your psyche, and you start asking yourself these questions while you're all sheltering at home, and you say, what is it that I've always been dying to do? What is it that I've always wanted for myself? What is it that I imagine could be possible if I let myself truly be free? Be free in my own thoughts, be free in my own emotions, whatever that is for you, be free in my own spirit. And if you start to ask those questions, the answers will come because they've always been there. We have an intuitive self that was with us from the minute that we took breath. And through the years of our parenting, and society and other people saying to you, that's a crazy notion, that's a weird idea, why are you thinking about that, why do you look like that, why do you want to wear a tutu and saying, happy birthday 24/7, if that makes you happy, then amen, sister, brother, put on a damn tutu and sing to the heavens come home. Because every person that said to you, be other than who you are and your spirit calls you to do, they committed a crime against your spirit. And I will call that trauma. Someone saying to you, you're stupid, you're not capable, you're never gonna amount. Why are you going back to school? You're not smart enough. How are you gonna do that? You don't have the money. Every time you heard a doubt projected on you by another human being, they committed a crime against your spirit. They robbed you emotionally, spiritually, and physically from moving ahead. from becoming the best version of yourself that you could possibly ever become. Because every one of us, inside of us, has a template. We have a vision, we have a dream, we have a map. And what happens to us is based on other people's fears, we start to divert off the map. And I can honestly say I did that for a lot of years of my life. And I lost decades of my life sitting in fear of facing what was possible for me and what I wanted, because I listened when other people doubted that I had inside of me what I could do to catapult myself in whatever genre I chose. Be that a therapist, be that inspirational speaker, be that a writer, be that a freaking drum major, which I was, by the way, in high school, and also again in college. Be that the best accordion player ever, which is one of my great held secrets, that I actually play the accordion and the flute. Surprise, surprise, I just started polishing it off the other day. But every time someone took from me that belief in myself, it hurt. And because I so much wanted other people's validations, it's how we're wired. We come out of the womb and the first thing we seek is connection with our mother. We don't come out of the womb and go, get it, girl, I'm out of here. I'm gonna walk out of this delivery room and I got it going on. We like, oh, where's my mommy? And we scream and we yell for that safety and that comfort and that knowing that we are connected and we are okay. So where every mother that has presented themselves symbolically in our life, not just our mothers of birth, every person that's been in relationship with us, where they didn't nurture, where they didn't hold, where they didn't praise, where they didn't love us, they broke a little crack in our spirit and in our soul. So our job and your job and my job is to know the work is to know oneself. I am who I am. Who I am is enough. The I am of all, and if you are biblically or religiously inclined, I am is the word for God. And I speak this all the time when I'm speaking to clients, is that the God that lives inside of you, the God of your imagining, the God of your understanding is you're here to connect with and resource the God inside of you that will help you walk through any tragedy and any suffering. This is so small in the world of infinite possibility, to quote TJ, my friend, this is so small. This experience, I know it seems crazy and it's consuming our lives, it is so small in the infinite possibilities of where we're headed and what we're capable of. And as you're home with all the circumstances that I mentioned, especially if you're in a violent situation, first of all, my thoughts and prayers and love and energy goes out to anyone who's in a situation like that, because it must be terrifying to be and feel so trapped in a situation like that. Maybe you don't have that relative or that exit plan, but you have this. You have opportunities like this. You have spiritual seekers and spiritual thinkers and guides and therapists that are right here, that are online, that are with you, that can hold your hand, that can be a presence and a force for good in your life for you to resource from. And the work is for you to continue to say to yourself 100 times a day. If you can do 10 times a day, I would be thrilled. If you got 3, amazing. But as many times as you can, say, I am whole. I am well. I am capable. I am willing. I am moving in a good direction. I am healing even as we speak, and to keep affirming to yourself as you go through your day, even if you're in a craziest of situations. And I always love to say, recovery is possible for everyone. It is not limited to these people over here that have really good insurance, or these people over here that have a ton of money, or these people over here that have access to healthcare. It is possible for everyone. And I personally, in my life story, have friends who didn't have resources and didn't go to treatment. They weren't blessed with that opportunity, but they got on their knees and they prayed and they surrendered to a power greater than themselves. And they believed that recovery was possible, and therefore it became possible for them. Your job today, and as you go through this COVID, is to take the monster of fear and anxiety and tame it. put it on a leash and walk that sucker. Don't let that sucker walk you. It is not you. It is a remnant and a trace of all traumatic experiences that you ever had, trying to raise its little dragon head to eat you up. I'm very much into symbolism. It is not that, okay? It's a little tiny, cute little chihuahua that needs to be put on a leash and needs to be told to be a good boy or be a good girl and follow me, okay? So as you're at home and as you're sitting in a space of anxiety or fear, there's some things you can do. So I'm certified in hypnosis. I've done EFT, look up the letters, EMDR, I'm certified in that. Things that help the nervous system to slow down and to speak to the amygdala, the fight, flight, or freeze response, and say, it's time for you to chill out because this ain't happening. This ain't working for me. You need to calm down. So one of the things that you could do at home while you're in this space, I notice I don't tend to be anxious. Like I'm like this because I'm so passionate. I'm so excited. And this is my heart. I'm showing you my heart and who I am. And that thrills me, but it's not anxiety. But I rarely have that. But my God, since I've been quarantined for 4 weeks, every morning, that anxiety dragon is like, I got you. And it wants to like eat me up. So every morning I have to remember to breathe, as TJ said, to do a meditation. But even if you can't meditate, one breath is meditation. If you just simply take one breath. The other thing you can do is affirmations are the most healing thing in the world, and they're for fun and they're for free. The more you can say them, the better. I have to keep waking up with contrary action. I don't want to get up out of my bed. I don't want to go to another freaking Zoom meeting. I don't want to, I don't want to get dressed. I don't want to freaking work out in my damn garage one more time with my husband who's hyper and crazy and goes 500 miles an hour and I can't keep up with him. And I say, yes, you will. And yes, you can. I don't want to make my bed. Yes, you will. And yes, you can. Just do this one thing. Just do this one thing, this one right thing, and then do the next right thing and the next right thing. And then the breath. And beyond the breath, if you're ever done any kind of tapping or you've heard about tapping, it's not like this secret world that belongs to all therapists. It belongs to everybody. So emotional freedom technique is to do some tapping. So tapping is about tapping into the meridians, which are acupressure points, which are the places where we have high active electricity. And when you calm down the electrical circuits, I'm going to say, in your body and in your mind and in your head physically, it sends a signal to the amygdala to chill out. And EMDR is the same thing. It's bilateral stimulation, which by tapping the two opposite sides of the body sends the same signal to the brain to calm down and slow down. I like to think of it as like taking a blanket over the fight, flies, or freeze response and saying, you're going to be all right, girl. You're going to be all right. And just kind of nurturing and loving your fight, flight, or freeze in your amygdala instead of leaving it as an active wire that's firing all the time. And if you didn't know, that's what PTSD is. It's the amygdala, it's the nervous system, parasympathetic nervous system going like this. And someone forgot to put a little coating on it, put a little plastic wire around it and wrap it in love. So one thing you could do if you're all game to do it right now is if you're sitting wherever you're sitting, on your sofa, on your wherever, I'm on a chair, is to do right and left, the bilateral tapping. So I've taught all the clients and patients that I work with that if you cross your arms, I don't know if you can see me, I can't see myself doing it, so let me know. Right and left, and you tap, and you take deep breaths, and as you breathe, say, I'm okay, I'm safe, I've got this. Good days are coming. I have nothing to fear. I have everything that I need. I am whole, and I am continuing to heal. I am blessed. Whatever comes to your mind, and I want you to think of it like it's a little butterfly kiss, but it's like a horse trotting, not running. So don't like, because you're anxious and you start activating it, because then this will alarm the PTSD response, and then you might get flooded with like memories and thoughts around trauma. So a horse just trotting along. It makes me think of those old John Wayne movies where the music is like really cool and slow. Jeremy, maybe you'll put that on next time. And you're just kind of trotting. If that kind of, you don't like that, then right and left your knees on the front of your thighs or your knees, you can do the same. And I teach all the staff that I work with and all the patients, because if I'm freaking out and it's one of those days and you're in a treatment center and somebody, you got to do an ACA block and someone leaving against clinical advice. I work with women that are pregnant. So one of the scariest things I ever see is a 7 or 8 month pregnant woman running out the doors of treatment going, I'm going to go get some heroin. And believe me, that activates my fear. And so tap, right? You can also do it if you want to get really creative and zen, is middle finger, thumb. I drew on myself, middle finger, thumb, and it's open, close. This is good for those of us who are a little bit more mature in age, because anything that you do that's like a puzzle, that's like tricking the brain to do what it's used to doing, helps to fire off neurons so that you can keep your memory intact as you're aging. It helps your thinking and your critical thinking, but this is one way to do it. And sometimes, like if I'm in a meeting and somebody's saying something and I'm starting to get a little freaked out, then my hands are under the table and I'm doing this, right? If you want to do the tapping, so that's all from hypnosis and EMDR. If you want to do the tapping, there's certain points, and I'm going to have to take off my glasses and not see you as well to do this. But the meridian points, the first one is here. So where we call it the karate chop. So where it's here, you guys practice this and you take the fingers from your other hand. And again, what amplifies the sense of calm is to say, I am whole. I am amazing. I've got this. I have everything that I need. I am confident. I am capable. I'm working through and healing this anxiety. It does not own me. Whatever your words are, those are words that just come, and just whatever they come. So that's the first one. The next one is right here in the eyebrows, or if you live in certain parts of California, it's the Botox lady face, which I still have full frown lines there. But take 2 fingers, and on the inside of your eyebrows, I am whole. I am blessed. I am joyous. I am healed. I am grateful. And then you move on to the temples. See, this is why I had to have my husband dye my hair today, because then all my gray would have, you would have caught all my gray. So just a little bit in from the temples. I am beautiful. I am love. I am everything I need to be right now, whatever your words are. And then come in right on the bone under the eyes. I am so grateful. I love my life. New possibilities are coming every day. So if you notice, it actually feels good. It looks really weird, but think about it. If you've ever gone to acupuncture or massage, it feels so great to have somebody touch. But wash your hands first. I forgot. I did wash my hands, trust me, like multiple times, except I don't know how I did that. That happened right when we started. And the next one is right under the nose. And I like this one. I don't know why. It just feels good. Maybe it's something you did as a little baby or a little kid. Isn't it funny? Kids always like play with their face and stuff. Have you noticed that? Besides picking their boogers, they kind of like play with their face and pick at things. Well, maybe they were onto something. And the last one is in that dimple right under the mouth there. Actually, there's one more. Don't forget the affirmations. I am joy, I am love, I am compassion, I am grateful, I am healed, I am capable, new opportunities are coming. And the last one is you got to find your, these collarbones right here. And then just a little bit underneath it, because it hurts when you go on the bone. Same thing. I feel relaxed. I feel calm. I have a sense of still and of peace. This too shall pass. I'm living each day well, happy, joyous, and free. So on that note, I want to make sure to have time for everyone. Remember to do, you know, the tapping. It's eyebrows, out temples, bones, nose, chin, and then collar. It's like, I keep thinking that song, knees and toes, head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. I used to sing it to my kids. It's kind of like that. Just think of going down the face until you get to the brow, and you can start with the karate chop and go back to it if you like it. And if not, this works right. This works right. So I think I'm good, Jeremy. I think that's a good place to stop.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Gina. That was fantastic. So yeah, we want to open it up now for questions and comments. So if you have questions, go ahead and throw them into the Q&A section there. It should be on your toolbar. And just to some of the comments, absolutely love your passion. Very contagious. Oh yeah, that's for sure. Yep. I've been wanting to learn this for so long. Thank you. That's from Kim. Awesome.
Oh, you're welcome.
So our first question is, what about families that are living with a person with a mental health condition? Gina, you want to take that one?
Sure. I think there is a need for us to seek support. This is a space where, you know, mental health recovery companions could be very critical to bring some relief to the families. There's still therapists and first responder mental health responders that are willing to come into the home to have some family therapy, but also to give some time to your loved one who may be schizophrenic or suffering from, you know, obsessive compulsive disorder or bipolar disorder, is to make sure you have them engaged at well with a therapist or a psychiatrist, be it online or not. It helps if the family engages and participates in that. And usually you'll have to get the buy-in from that patient or client in order to get them to sign consent. But, you know, no one wants to be in pain and suffering. And if that mentally struggling person, I'm going to call them, is acting out, it's their way of screaming that they're hurting and they're in pain just like you. They just have a different voice in which they do it. So as scary as it is one, you know, always protect your physical space, always stand your ground and your boundaries and say, I hear you, I'm listening. This is very loud. If you could bring down your voice, I'm going to ask you to take a time out. If they don't take the time out, you take the time out and you separate yourself and say, when you can be in a voice that's calmer and you want to share the stories about maybe they're hallucinating your visions and your thoughts, I'm happy to hear you. So don't feel like you have to tolerate people raging at you or yelling at you. But I would enlist the help of those. There are still therapists and there's still mental health workers that are going into the home. They are masked and gloved, and I know because I know some of my staff has done that as well. And also just to enlist your support, get your sponsor, get your therapist, get your counselor involved online and do these kind of Zoom meetings with them or face-to-face telehealth so that you have the support and the tools of how to deal with that person. Because it's really, really difficult when you're not a trained, you know, professional to sit in the space with someone who's decompensating. And that's literally what they're doing. So some of the techniques of the breath that we just did while you're engaging, I forgot the head too. You could do the head after the eyebrows, and after you do that, you can go back to the head. But you could do the tapping. You can do the tapping while you're doing it with someone who's distressed or angry or crying or hysterical. Sometimes they'll mimic you, or you invite them to mimic you. You know, just, you got to pull from the resources that you have because it's an insane scenario, you know.
Excellent. Thanks, Gina. So our next question along the same lines is, do you know of any acupressure points for migraines?
Not specific to the migraine, just I could pull Fareed in the room for this because my husband would know. But for the temples here, and one thing I do want to offer is that essential oils. So peppermint oil. If you can get a hold of some peppermint oil, I've used that. I rarely get headaches, but when I do, just putting a little bit right on the temples and just smelling the peppermint oil has like this anxiolytic effect where it calms things down. But I would do even the tapping on the points when you have the migraine. I would do this one, and this one while you have the migraine, and the deep breath, of course. You know, some of you, if you have a really, really bad episode, obviously you got to shut all the light out as well, because bright lights definitely activate migraines. So those are some things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to second the recommendation for peppermint oil. I was not a believer in essential oils for a long time until I actually tried it and realized that it worked. So
Isn't that great?
this one is from Ricard. Vicki, he is asking if you support mental health intervention.
Hello, Ricard. Yes, I do. Thanks for asking. I've been doing a lot of them lately, believe it or not. Mental health seems to be on the rise right now, and most of the interventions I'm doing right now are crisis interventions. And I actually really enjoy doing them. If you have any more questions, just let me know.
Boom. Awesome. Thanks, Vic. So the next one is from Michelle. She said that she had a female reach out asking what to do if she's under the stay-at-home order with an abusive partner and her children. Feels like she is failing as a mom due to all the homework assigned. Any recommendations, Gina?
Well, I never recommend for someone to stay in a home with, a violent offender, but the hardest thing is for someone who has a family and still has that love and desire to, help and be a support of their partner is if they don't feel capable of leaving, then they have to create a safety for themselves and their children. And they're constantly in dialogue with the children around, this isn't okay. This is not okay. Mommy's not okay with this. Mommy does not want us in this situation. We're here for now, but I'm working on a plan for us to be safe again. And daddy needs help. If it's the daddy, I don't know who the perpetrator is, but if it's the father, it could be the mother or whatever, is to reinforce to the children, I have a plan. I'm working on this. This isn't about you. This is not your fault. This is something that they're dealing with and they're struggling with. And because he's hurting, this is the way he acts out. You're normalizing for them, but don't excuse it and say, it's not daddy's fault. He can't help it. That's never okay to say to a child because they're never going to understand that. How come he can't help hitting me? Really the goal is to get them out. Really the goal is for them to pack a bag, to have a bag ready to go at any time for the children, hidden in the trunk of your car or right by the, closet that's nearest the front door or the back door. And safe passage sometimes means leaving in the middle of the night and going to a friend's or going to a shelter. I know in Orange County, we have many shelters that you can call and they will keep you safe. Laura's house being one of them, where your perpetrator will never know where you are and they'll give you all the resources you need, money, food, and shelter. The hardest thing is to motivate that person to leave their perpetrator. It's the hardest thing in the world, but to keep saying to them, you have belief, you have faith, you have hope in them that this is not the way they should live their life. No human should live this way. And oftentimes the greatest service you can do to that perpetrator is to leave them, because oftentimes that's the motivator for them to seek help. So sometimes saying to the wife, you're hurting him by staying. You want to help him and yet you're enabling him. It's only going to escalate the behavior.
Excellent. Thanks, Gina. So the next question, I think we're going to give this one to TJ. And the question is, what tips would you give people living alone and really missing human contact?
Wow, thank you so much for that. Yeah, I saw that question come through. And first of all, just honoring that and recognizing that that's an experience that people are having. I am one person that really craves human contact. I do live with my husband, so I have that human contact. That comes with a whole lot of other circumstances as well. The two of us together all the time. That's a whole other conversation. But what I want to first just say thank you, Gina. Oh my gosh, I love you. I'm so incredibly grateful for everything that you shared. So one of the tips, this may, because I think a lot of people would say, we can connect through Zoom, you can make phone calls. All of that is important, but I want to take it a little bit deeper and I want to talk about how we inner resource that need for human contact. And I think it starts with having a dialogue with that part of ourselves that's really craving that connection, whether we call that inner child work, self-parenting, always starting with it's okay to feel that way. In conscious recovery, we do a process that's an inner child process that starts with it's okay to feel that way, you're safe now, and I'm here for you. If we can remember to say those three things to ourselves, because I think what happens for a lot of us is maybe we feel really isolated, we're really craving human contact, but are we really allowing ourselves to feel, as Gina said, the wave of emotions? I have woken up some days feeling really exuberant and really grateful and really pumped. And I've woken up some mornings during this just feeling like I'm about to start crying. Mm-hmm. The number one gift we can offer ourselves, and for that matter, the world, is to honor and lean into that emotion. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be joyful. It's okay to be grateful. So again, just sort of the three things are, it's okay to feel that way. You're safe now, or I'm safe now. Remember, we're doing this for ourselves. It's something that is also great after or with the tapping. You could say, it's okay for me to feel safe. It's okay for me to feel sad. It's okay for me to feel joy. You can do those as Gina so beautifully demonstrated. And then it's, you're safe now and I'm here for you. Because what happens for a lot of us is we go into fight, flight, or freeze, and then we go into strategies to manage it. And what we want to do is move out of the strategies and really into, because self-care is not about an extra long bath. That's nice, but self-care really is about learning how to care for the self. And the self comes with all the different layers, and it's okay for us to feel all of that. I think that's the number one thing that we can do, is really allow ourselves to feel what's present, to create a safe space internally, and then to really be present for ourselves.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, TJ. So that's it for questions, you guys. So in wrapping up, I just really want to thank our panelists for being here, Vicki, TJ, Shannon, and of course, Gina, for that amazing presentation. That was phenomenal. I'm going to be tapping all day now.
It's awesome.
And yeah, that being said, you guys, I really appreciate you joining us for the presentation. We're going to email everybody a brief survey, so it would mean a lot to us if you took a minute or two to fill that out. You know, we're really trying to bring you valuable content, and that's how we know how you guys feel about it. So I really appreciate the engagement there on that survey. Also, we're going to post this presentation on our Facebook page probably tomorrow. So if you want to rewatch it or you want to share it with anybody that you feel may benefit from it, we'll put that on our Facebook page. And then also, if you're interested in presenting, we are booked for the next couple of weeks, but if you're looking to present, go ahead and email me directly at jeremymillergroup@gmail.com. And let me know who you are and what you'd like to speak to, and we will get you booked. And I guess that being said, wherever you are in your journey, wherever you are in your life, wherever you're going in your journey, we're really grateful that for today you decided to spend that time with us. So I'm very grateful, and I want to again thank our panelists, thank all of you, and we will see you guys next week.
Thank you, everybody. Thank
Bye,
you, Gina.
everybody.
Thank you. I appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Gina.
You're awesome, Gina.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Love you guys.
Love you. Can't wait to
Love
see you
you.
again in person.
I know. Praying for that. That will
All right.
happen.
Love you guys. We're signing off. We'll see y'all next week.
Bye.
Bye.